renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-885-3333. That's 800-885-3333. 800-885.
It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We, the people, will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should come. You should listen to many voices.
1019 and 94.1.
Their phone lines have surely been burning up.
News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Our temperatures topped off near freezing about midday today. Now they're going to be falling as we head through the afternoon into the evening as a cold front passed through early this morning. So temperatures will be in the 20s later this afternoon, but in the single digits overnight tonight. It is really going to be frigid tomorrow morning. The high temperature on Wednesday under sunny skies about 30. And by Thursday and Friday, we'll be in the 40s and we'll melt some of this snow. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This whole thing's got me thinking about how privileged I've been.
America's a wonderful country.
If I were a black man, I'd be furious.
We're getting frustrated.
Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
There are certain issues that we need improvement.
They would rather have this country on its knees than be successful.
news, analysis, opinion.
We have common sense, and the Democrats have none.
1019 and 94.1.
And I appreciate the discussion.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
The time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday afternoon here on Colombo Company on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Emily, and we've got another busy day for you today. Lots to talk about. We saw the hearing continuing there in Washington, D.C. on Pete Hegseth. Got some notes, much like the notes I was trying to take yesterday during Joe Biden's speech, especially when one of the Democrats were talking. It's just so hard to even take notes because you can't even write fast enough to write down all the stupid things that they are saying and all the sensational, irrelevant, debunked, idiotic, find other terms to use if you'd like. So I have some that we'll definitely get to as we go through the afternoon. Also, an update on the LA fires, some more examples of media irrelevancy and the continued reaction to by the world, media, businesses, and everything to the upcoming Donald Trump administration. So we'll get into a lot of these stories as we roll through the afternoon. We'll also be joined today by Susie Moore from Red State. She'll be with us in about an hour, just after 3 o'clock. And right now, joining me to start the show, as he does every Tuesday afternoon from nothingbutTruth.com, the Nothing But Truth Facebook page, Crane Durham. And brother Crane, another crazy day in politics around the world and here at home. It's important to remember that brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got to hug.
And as we hug, I whisper in your ear, hang in there, big fella.
Oh, yeah, wait, before we hug, I should have warned you this. I hurt my back shoveling snow this over the weekend. So, little tenderness there when no tight squeezes for the next few days. Okay.
No tight and no slapping. No back slap.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration. Did you watch?
In there, big fella.
Did you watch or any of this? I watched some of it live. Mm-hmm. I don't know who. I mean, you and I, Crane, are about like the dictionary definition of political nerds, right? Like news nerds. Yeah. And even I can't stomach, more than an hour of a hearing like this that we saw today in DC. And we've seen, many, many hearings like this. So I hung in there for some of it. I saw highlights from other moments. Did you happen to catch any of the Pete Hegseth hearing today?
I caught some of the highlights that were carried on X and some of the news sites, and thought some of the highlights were pretty doggone good. And also, once again, you have the Democrats illustrating that they are complete jackasses when it comes to national security and truly wanting the very best for our country.
Yes.
And it's sad. And Pocahontas going off on her way after. I mean, there's a great deal of hypocrisy that was pointed out regarding Lloyd Austin and everything else. I know we'll get to it because you're all over this like white on rice. But I can't look at somebody like Elizabeth Warren and
Mazie Hirono. Oh my goodness. How is this person still in the United States? How is this person? This goes to show you. Yeah. We've made this analogy. We talked about this, many times. Because I still can remember being even an adult. Like, you grow up in this country, and if you are into, the news, even at a young age, and you're into media and journalism and all that sort of stuff, you grow up thinking like United States Congress people and senators and certainly presidents or anybody in the White House, these people are special. Like, you can't just these are the best of the best. These people they're smarter than most people. They know more than most people. And then you reach a certain age of realization, and you go, oh my goodness, some of these people are not only not the best and brightest, sometimes they're on the very low end of that spectrum. They're some of the dumbest.
Below room temperature. I mean, it's that awful, and don't operate heavy machinery. It would be. They are walking hazards.
Yes.
And they need things bubble wrapped, and they probably need to wear a helmet everywhere. Amazing to me.
I don't want to take, the people in Hawaii and the people in Massachusetts, if we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, and others, their vote counts just as much as my vote and just as much as yours, and I would never do anything to take that away. But I would really, really, honestly be very interested to personally talk to a group of voters, Hawaiian voters, that are big-time supporters of Mazie Hirono, and they keep voting for her to go back to the United States Senate. I would love to know what their reason for thinking that she's over there in Washington, D.C., and she's really representing our best interests. I would love to hear that answer.
She's up there with Hank Johnson. I mean, she is that bad. Guam's going to tip over. The idea of this is so awful. And I think we're all looking at you and me and the audience, I'm sure, always look to government to say, okay, what are your qualifications? And when there's a crisis, are you going to be able to handle it? And are you logical enough to believe that 2 + 2 = 4, and you'll take the necessary steps to do your job, the primary job of government, first and foremost, to protect its people? And that's what I think the California wildfires and potential terrorism, by the way, I think that is a distinct possibility at times. When we see this stuff, we say, okay, you're a leader. I could give a rat's behind on what you think about equity, because that's not germane to the issue. The issue is qualifications and how you're going to prepare to handle a disaster when things go down. And first and foremost, you need to do that. Now, you've got Ron DeSantis on one coast and Gavin Newsom on the other.
Yeah.
And I would take DeSantis 6 days a week, twice on Sunday. And I think the vast majority of Americans would, because one is bull snot, full of total bull snot, and the other is substance. And like, I've done this, I know what to do. I'm a policy wonkish on policy. I want to make sure I understand everything that I'm putting down. Responsible. And then you look at what you got over in California, and you say, why would anybody live there? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that unless you were absolutely forced to, by taking care of your family and having a job that you could not say you maximized your earning potential or something along those lines?
Yeah, that living there would have to. Yeah, leaving would somehow, damage you and your family financially or whatever it may be. I totally agree, and I'm glad you bring that up, because it is. There are several examples of that right now, which makes this discussion so much easier when you are in a debate, or you're looking at the facts, or you're trying to prove a point over one or the other. It's not hypothetical anymore. Like you said, we have a really good apples to apples comparison about natural disasters and leadership that works when it comes to coordinating, saving lives and saving neighborhoods and homes and businesses and all of that. We have a very good apples to apples comparison in what has happened recently in Florida and what is happening in California. We have an apples to apples comparison of the White House. Donald Trump, this very unique situation that has only happened one other time in our history, and nobody remembers that because it was before all of our lifetimes, where a former president has been reelected after a period of time. So we know what a Donald Trump presidency looks like next to a Joe Biden presidency. We know what a Republican Congress and Senate looks like over a Democrat. We know in major states, we know the difference between Republican leadership and Democrat leadership. And this is not all to say that Republicans have been knocking it out of the park, because they haven't been. There's plenty to criticize Republicans on. Absolutely. But the Democrats are so lost, so far gone off the. I mean, not only are they just gone, like detached from reality or the concerns of everyday Americans. It's to a point where it's very dangerous for the country.
That's the point.
Yeah, that they're so far
dangerous. We're in a dangerous time. I'm glad you hit on that, Tony, because that's the big point of the last few weeks and everything we've seen up to this presidential election, and the results. You want somebody in there who knows what they're doing and are going to take the proper steps to ensure the very best for the American people. And we're talking about crisis here. We're talking about terrorist attacks. We're talking about natural disasters. We're talking about situations where our credit as a country and our ability to pay our bills and defend ourselves, these are the most important things in the world. And a lot of times, or afford groceries for that matter, a lot of times these bad policies from the left can be insulated because our country is generally speaking so wealthy and everything is so good that you can have a lot of bad policies that really never reach you in the sense unless you're involved in that particular area. And that's unfortunate that we judge things that way. because we should always look at a policy and ask ourselves, even though it doesn't impact me directly, how is this impacting the people directly? Who have to deal with this on day in and day out. And whether it's our Second Amendment rights, whether it's the idea of illegal aliens coming over and setting up shop in an apartment building and terrorizing, how does it impact us? And every time I get to a liberal policy maker getting one of these just asinine policies out there and defending it, they always have a caveat. They're never directly impacted. Whether it's the ladies on The View when it comes to Second Amendment rights, they have their own security. They never have to deal with that. Biden said, oh, just fire the gun off in the back if you have somebody who shouldn't be there.
Double barrel shotgun fire in the air.
Obviously, you've never dealt with this kind of threat. You have no clue. Because that's stupid. Even if it was on a sitcom, it'd be stupid.
Well, that's the Hollywood. That's the Hollywood take too, that people are rightfully getting so sick of, is these people and these detached A-list billionaire, millionaire celebrities that want to preach to everyday Americans and business owners, what we should be concerned about, and why our politics or our beliefs are antiquated or out of touch, when they don't have any idea what the hell they're talking about, because they live, like you said, they're not the ones that need the police on a general,
they've got the security
sometimes daily basis, like so many people across the country are, and they don't need to worry about their healthcare provider and their health insurance going away and things like that, because they're so protected in their Hollywood bubble. And it's the exact same approach that was, all of the ingredients that went into what happened on election day. But I want to let's point out some of the specifics of this stupidity that happened today at this in this Pete Hegseth trial. To set the stage here, personally, very quickly, I don't think that Pete Hegseth is a perfect person, and I don't think anybody is. I'm not saying he's the perfect man for this job, but he's the one that Donald Trump has selected. We've elected Donald Trump as president. I do like Pete Hegseth. I don't know. I haven't done, a super deep dive on his stuff. I know the controversies and I know the stories, and he certainly seems as competent as any to serve in that position. I mean, we can get into some, if you have some concerns or critiques, but certainly better than anything that the Democrats are putting out there. Pete Hegseth seems okay to me. So that's my take on the Secretary of Defense situation. What is yours?
Well, and I know we get to meet these folks on occasion, and over the years, last 20 years, I've met Pete Hegseth a couple times and had him on and tried to get him on other times. And you come in contact with these guys, and sometimes maybe you're a big fish, maybe you're a little fish, and you certainly see how they treat other people. This guy is just rock solid. He is absolutely rock solid.
That's great to hear.
This is somebody, if a family member of mine is serving in the armed forces, I want this guy as the Secretary of Defense. I want him 6 days a week again and twice on Sunday, because he knows and he understands and he cares, and he is not distancing the policy from the people who are enforcing that policy. They are right, one and the same. They are congruous, and it's great. It's wonderful in that way. The other thing is, what I found from the hearing that I caught excerpts of is, and he has made his mistakes, as we have, by the grace of God go I, but the fact is, he used those opportunities to talk about his Lord and Savior.
Yes.
And I think that is huge, because he never made it about him. He made it about Jesus.
He also admitted to those mistakes. He admitted to those challenges. He admitted to those weaknesses, and he admitted to, and he was transparent about his battle against them. And you and I and everybody else can relate to that. And I think that is something that definitely stands towards his character and integrity as a plus.
Absolutely.
Than it would be. And we're going to get into this. his past that he has been publicly opened about is something that he was attacked about over and over today. And all I could think to myself is, what would you prefer somebody, and obviously they would, the Democrats, prefer somebody who hides these things and pretends like they're not struggling with something and not taking on the challenges and not, defeating their demons? Like, would you rather just somebody who's not transparent about those struggles in their lives? Because to me, everything that you're criticizing him for is something that I think is a check in the pros column for Pete Hegseth.
Absolutely. In the way he responded to it. And that is everything, because that's the true character of a man. We are flawed. We could never do it by our own works in the sense of being godlike. That's why it's interesting, because you see a lot of things comparing religions, and obviously I'm biased. But if you look at Jesus and you look at the way he lived his life and understanding that it's about his grace, he was perfect, but he came down and took it all for us. And it wasn't about our standard going up and having to do it in the sense of works. Obviously, faith without works is dead. But my point is, the idea is it's not about us. It's about what he did for us. And that is everything to me. That's why when we have stupid conversations about, well, all religions are good and all religions are peaceful. Wrong. Check out Islam. I mean, and take Muhammad and Jesus and compare them. Okay. It's just not true. I'm not going to go up to people and incite people, but I'm also not going to deny that. And I'm sick of tired of having these conversations, because so often people will say, oh, well, he's doing this Christian nationalism or something. And you're sitting there going, wait a second, hold on. If anything, Christianity has taught us is to have the fact you don't deify government, for heaven's sakes. So that's just nonsense. And so long and short of it is, when I'm seeing somebody own up to his mistakes and on the biggest stage possible, I sit there and go, yeah, I respect that man. I respect him because he, yes, stumbled and fell like so many of us do in different ways, in different paths, but he got up and he made the change. It's not the fact that you're going to make a mistake. It's what you do after that. So I'm a huge fan of this guy.
Yeah, that's Crane Durham. I'm a huge fan of you from nothingbutruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. So with that stage set, let's get into some of those specific examples of what happened today in the Senate hearing for Pete Hegseth and his Secretary of Defense nomination. Read you some quotes, give you some of those highlights as we continue the conversation with Crane Durham next here on Colombo Company.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Talked to our friend Dave Sylvester from the Gutter Pros a week or so ago as we were dealing with this crazy weather. And of course, that is something that's going to have an impact on many areas around your house, including your gutters, maybe your siding up there, also the fascia, the soffit. And that is exactly all of those things are what the Gutter Pros can help you with if you're having any problems at your home or business. Remember, Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. You guys know that I have had them out to our home personally on a couple of different occasions over the last few years, so I can speak from personal experience on this. The Gutter Pros teams are just incredible. Great customer service, fast, affordable, professional service, all the things that you are looking for when you have somebody working on, any part of your home or your business, somebody that you can trust. And I think the Gutter Pros are, check every single one of those boxes. And they do it all. Leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding repair, siding installation, fascia, soffit. They do it all at the Gutter Pros. So if you think you have an issue at your home or business, or you have an issue and you need to talk to somebody and, get all the truth, the information about your options to move forward so you can make the best decisions for your home, your business, your budget, Gutter Pros is the team to call. Call them now at 314-656-7195 or just visit the website gutterpros.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hi, I'm Officer John Van Gordon, recruiter with the Springfield Police Department. We are currently looking for driven, qualified, and team-oriented citizens to become the next generation of community-minded servants here in Springfield. Our salaries and benefits are paid from day one. Plus, right now, new recruits are eligible to receive a $5,000 hiring incentive, and experienced officers looking to transfer are eligible for $10,000. To learn more, visit gospd.com. That's gospd.com.
Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
All right, we're through the holidays and back to our routines. And maybe you're looking around thinking, you know what, it's time to freshen things up around here. Maybe you're in the market for new flooring. And if you are, I have the perfect place for you. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so you know you can count on them. I've used Michael's in the past, and I had a great experience with them, and I promise you will too. If it's variety you're looking for, well, Michael's has it. They've got laminate, ceramic tile, carpet, hardwood, luxury vinyl, natural stone, lots of options for you to choose from. And also, you know with Michael's that your installation is going to be done right the first time because it's done by the experts at Michael's and not just a random subcontractor. With Michael's, you get the best combination ever. You get great quality and you save money. So if you're in the market for flooring, check out Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 locations on Main Street in St. Peters, on Town Square in Darien Prairie, or on Olive and Creve Coeur. Or you can shop from the comfort of your own home. Just go online to igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Producer Joey V here. Tim and Chris will be back Tuesday with all the stories from the inauguration ceremony at the Missouri State Capitol.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with DJ Emily.
What?
On the wheels of steel there. It's always a little bonus for the people watching on the cameras on
It's
Facebook,
awesome to watch, by the way.
Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Rumble's your best bet because, Rumble is always going to be solid. Twitter too. I shouldn't... I shouldn't take anything away from Elon and Twitter or X or whatever we're supposed to call it. And YouTube sometimes. I don't think right now though. So, that's not the one that you can trust. But you can watch us every day on various social media channels live on the camera. So do so. And you would have just seen Emily rocking the wheels of steel over there at break. Talking to Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com about the hearings on Capitol Hill today regarding Pete Hegseth becoming Secretary of Defense. And we were mentioning the idiocy, ridiculousness. I would call it gaslighting. I would say deflecting. I would say, changing the topic to distract from the point. These are all
repeating false allegations.
Yes, these are all the tactics that were employed by Democrats today, and we were naming some of the biggest suspects of this in people like Elizabeth Warren and once again Mazie Hirono out of Hawaii. She got a massive reaction on social media today because she asked, this is real. This is real life. We're talking about how, when you're a kid and you think that senators and Congress people are the best that the country has to offer, and then you grow up and you realize that is so far from the case in many instances. And Mazie Hirono is exhibit number 1 in that analogy. She asked Pete Hegseth today if he would, if nominated and appointed as Secretary of Defense, would you lead a military invasion of Greenland? What? What? Would you lead a military invasion of Greenland? First of all, Crane, if you and I wanted to take over Greenland, we could probably do it with the just a trip to Southern Armory and a quick a quick stocking up. But like, what on earth are we talking about?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. We probably have to bring a couple friends. You're right. We probably have to bring a couple friends, but. Would you lead a military invasion of Greenland if you're nominated? And also, same question regarding the Panama Canal.
Should have been a yes or no. Next question.
Well, his answer was, which is amazing to me that he actually gave a better, more dignified answer than I think I would have, or I think anybody would have expected. He said, quote, Trump never strategically tips his hand. I would never publicly state one way or another to direct the orders of the president of the United States. So the most diplomatic answer you could possibly give. But what, yes. Crane, we're supposed to take these people, these Democrats in the United States Senate seriously when we are talking about a very important position like Secretary of Defense that you people, you Democrats, have made these very serious claims about who this person is and why they're not qualified. And you're going to go up there and you're going to say something as ridiculous as this. Not only do you make your other accusations seem ridiculous, you undermine your own credibility tremendously when you are asking these dumb things. Go ahead.
It's like Joy Behar came up with these questions.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with an hysterical group. And I got to give a shout out to the Facebook, by the way, and Scotty and everybody on Facebook as you were mentioning different places. I connect on there. I get to watch you, and I like the beard, big man. Is that a beard?
Oh yeah, I got the winter look going. I got the hair. I'm not sure.
It moves like Jagger coming from Emily there doing the dance.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we're getting after it today. I got the hair. I don't shave my head in the wintertime. I let the beard grow a little bit.
That was so funny. Tony today was like, "Where are you going after this?" Yeah. And I'm like, "I just put an effort today."
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic that if I'm wearing a pair of jeans and
I have
Emily
a nice
puts
shirt on
makeup, that everybody's like, what is going on today? Is there a meeting? Did I miss? Was there a meeting that I missed?
When I first got the job, I was wearing makeup every day, but I'm like, I'm youthful still. I don't need it, you know, but every now and then on a Tuesday, I need it to pick me up.
I'm trying to look like an adult.
Everybody wear their sunscreen.
Trying to look like an adult in the new year. So I've got decent clothes on and
it's awesome. And it's awesome with the audience.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. And here's the thing, even though I know we have some military assets in Greenland, the idea is that they are looking at the hysterical. And this is what the campaign was against Donald Trump. It wasn't, listen to the most hysterical, outrageous, hyperbolic charges against the man and believe them. And no matter how bad things get with us, because our policies, pardon the expression, suck, and you're barely surviving, getting food on the table because of inflation, etc. No, our policies, yes, are bad, but this guy's worse. That was the entire campaign against Donald J. Trump. And obviously, you look at somebody like Obama and wink, wink, eye, guess what? He doesn't believe Trump's Hitler. No, of course not, because he wouldn't laugh at the joke from Hitler, would he? So the idea is that it really, the whole apparatus and the number one narrative that they try to put out is Republicans are worse and they're scarier. There's worse than the policies you're experiencing now. Now, tell that to the folks in California. Tell that to the folks anywhere in the Carolinas. Tell that to anybody who's had to deal with the cities of the United States that are run by Democrats. And they'll say, wait a second, these policies are killing me, sometimes literally. And so we get to the fact that once you take the boogeyman away and go to the policy, and that's why policies matter, you say, wait a second, these things make sense. These do not. These are anti-American. judging people by the color of their skin. That's not right. I thought we got beyond that in 64 with the Civil Rights Act of 64. So, I mean, these are things that we look at and we see it for what they are. And I got to tell you, coming out of this, I look at Senator Fetterman as the guy who will be elevated in the new Democratic Party. I really do.
Who would have ever seen that coming? That John Fetterman is an example of common sense coming out of the Democratic Party. Certainly not. Listen, much like Joe Manchin. I used to think that a lot that too much was made about Joe Manchin and he should be a Republican and he's a conservative and he's standing up. Joe Manchin was a Democrat, and Joe Manchin had some pretty dangerous Democrat beliefs, but he wasn't insane. He wasn't he wasn't at the extreme level that we see so many other people in the party being. So by default, he looks like somebody with more common sense, and it looks like that person going forward might be John Fetterman. And I certainly would have never been able to predict that, but it is nice to see somebody who disagree with them or not, you don't feel like is somebody that's always grandstanding or gaslighting. He's standing up for what he believes in and does have at least a modicum of common sense.
Well, we're up against insanity. And there's been a place here where, like, you're at a meeting and you're talking and you're trying to solve the problem, and there's that one loony who sits there and goes, well, what about the children, or something along those lines. And they're kind of imbalanced and they really don't have it all together. So you let them chirp on something, and then we go on with the meeting of actually solving the problem. Now the insane people have taken over.
Yeah.
And we are in a place where we never should forget, after 110 years plus of progressivism, it is awful and it hurts people and it's deadly, and we need to confront it. And when bad ideas come up, we don't make room for them. We make room to expose them for the bad ideas that they are. And if they deserve ridicule, yes, ridicule. And yes, end up in the dustbin of history. Thank God.
So I'm not going to quote every single time that today was full of every Democrat, from the absurdity of Hirono asking Pete Hegseth if he would lead a military invasion of Greenland to, over and over bringing up a drinking problem.
A false allegation.
Yeah. Yes.
People,
exactly. So,
that's just weasel.
So I've got a couple more specific points that I want to point out, but just know that was happening all afternoon. Like that, those types of attacks were happening all afternoon. I did, once again, I was super impressed, and I'm really proud of our representation coming from the state of Missouri. Eric Schmidt is on that committee. He used his time to attack DEI and the dangerous policies in government that have created a lot of problems. And that's something we've been talking about a lot in the recent days here on this show. Yesterday, I had a list of it was a couple dozen major American companies that have all eliminated their DEI policies since the election, because they're standing up for their ethics, but they realize the call of the American people that happened on election day, how sick of it. And we're talking about companies like McDonald's and John Deere and Harley Davidson and Walmart, major companies across the country. And of course, we've seen people like Mark Zuckerberg do a 180 on a lot of things here recently as well. So Eric Schmidt focused on a lot of that stuff. He also talked about how Donald Trump and now Pete Hegseth on the record saying that they plan to provide back pay and an apology to all the soldiers and people in the Pentagon that lost their job due to not taking the vaccine. So I think that is awesome.
That's
huge. And he also mentioned, the reason for some of this lunacy that we saw today on the Democratic side was from the fact that Pete Hegseth was, quote, not coming from the same cocktail parties that permanent Washington comes from. And he called what the Democrats were doing all afternoon undignified attacks. I thought Eric Schmidt, our Missouri senator, was spot on with that. One other point that I wanted to get your thoughts on, speaking of how inauthentic the Democrats were in this and have been throughout. Senator Kelly from Arizona, the former astronaut, was reading off his notes throughout, as they all do, reading his questions off his notes. But when he wrapped it up, he started with, I have some concerns and I want to give you a chance to address those concerns. So here we go. So that was the way he framed his time. At the end, he said, I came in with concerns and I listened, I gave you a chance, and you didn't do anything to eliminate those concerns. When he said that, he was reading it off his pre-written script. He was reading it off the same piece of paper that he was reading his questions off of. So he had already written that closing line before he even asked his questions. It was on the same script. And I mean, just come on, man. Like, that, if that doesn't say it all, like, to pretend like, hey, I'm going to give you a chance, and then say, hey, I gave you a chance, but you just didn't convince me. But you already had that written down on your script before you even started the conversation.
It's predetermined.
It's a joke.
It's like a CNN debate.
It is.
Down in Brazil's writing the answers. Come on.
I mean, it's
absurd, isn't it?
And that's what we watched all afternoon.
Yeah,
all morning. All morning.
Tony, you get to the heart of the matter. Authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. If I mean, you would think that, hey, if he does have concerns, okay, that's fine. That's what this process is all about. But it wasn't about that. It's a predetermined outcome. And I don't expect much from a party that can't determine what a man and a woman is and the differences between them. I just, this is what we have. We have insane people that lost on a false narrative and now are being exposed for their horrible policies.
Yeah.
And he may have gotten nervous. Who knows? He wrote it down. My mind isn't changed. I don't know. If he doesn't impress me as being slow. He's an astronaut, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
So it was a Hirono.
But it was
maybe
a script.
I'd say, yeah,
it was
she
a
has
script.
to, yeah.
He was reading it off the same script. He had already written down that line at the end. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was
sad.
It was more. I learned more about, not learned more, but had more confirmation about the current state and how much the Democrats didn't learn anything from the election. I gained more knowledge and more reinforcement to that narrative than anything I learned about Pete Hegseth today from watching this hearing. That's how truly bad it was. Got a few minutes left here with Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com, the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. I want to switch gears, talk a little bit about the latest coming out of LA. And again, unfortunately, instead of talking about lives being saved, and there are lives being saved and a lot of great work being done by firefighters from literally across the world in California right now, but the politics continue to take center stage. We'll give you an update on that. We're going to be joined by Susie Moore from Red State at 3:00, but we got a few minutes left here with Crane Durham next on Colombo Company.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
It's time that everybody wake up and pay attention.
Live and local.
Recent criminal indictment of Donald Trump. About the fourth one. The fourth one. The one he got the free gift with. Lunch. I think it's a tote bag.
This is News Talk STL.
If 2025 is the year that you are looking to purchase a new home, the Wallner home selling team is, of course, the team to talk to. The Wallners at Berkshire Hathaway are St. Louis's #1 home selling team. The stats prove that. They're selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They've got so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis area, Rodney and Jen Wallner can help you, but talk to anybody, including myself and my wife. We've gone through the process, selling a home with the help of the Wallners and buying a new home with the help of the Wallners. And, throughout that experience, you realize exactly why they have those tremendous stats that, prove how great they are, because
they're great people. For one, they're easy to talk to. They have a work ethic that is just second to none to make sure that they are always getting you, the best on everything, making sure that we sold our house for as much as we possibly could, as quickly as we possibly could, putting us in the best position to then find the best possible home on the other side of things. And right now, it's still, as we start the year, very much a seller's market. So this is still a great time to call the Wallners. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait any longer. Take advantage of the market, take advantage of these conditions, and call the Wallner Home Selling Team. Call them at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This hour of Colombo & Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Our friend Susie Moore from Red State will be joining us in just a few minutes after 3 o'clock, just after 3 o'clock. Right now, we continue the conversation with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page, two places that you should be going on a regular basis. Of course, you hear Crane every week with us here on Colombo and Company, but if that's not enough, you can get more at NothingButTruth.com and on the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Crane, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in California. The continued politicalization of the suffering happening over there. I don't know if you saw this. Jimmy Kimmel last night on his television show started crying, got emotional during his opening monologue when talking about the fires. He's there, that his studio is there in LA and apparently very close to the fires. At one point there was a day or two that they were not able to even go to their theater because it was so close. It was that. So, he's right there on the front lines. He gave an emotional monologue last night while also blasting Donald Trump. So this is since Emily and I were just talking about off the air. It doesn't really make any sense because he wasn't, with his words, he wasn't directly blaming Trump because he can't, because Donald Trump isn't in office. He holds no power. He can't do anything, from a government standpoint at this moment, but they need somebody to blame, and they can't blame Gavin Newsom, and they can't blame Joe Biden. They can't blame Democrats. So this bizarre emotional, and this whole, he's done this before. This, I'm a no nonsense, I speak from the hip Italian comedian, and I, and I look like somebody who, is, doesn't get emotional, but I truly the no nonsense Italian that actually has a heart of gold. I've been playing that role for 20 years, Jimmy Kimmel. You're not fooling anybody with that. I just find that whole presentation to be fake, and so I already, I go into it even with that, that bias in mind, which I'm willing to admit to.
You're the real deal. Go ahead.
So he gets emotional last night, and then he talks about the disgusting response by Donald Trump. Kimmel took the opportunity to blast Trump's response to the fire, stating, quote, "I don't want to get into all the vile and irresponsible and stupid things our alleged future president." He's not the alleged future president, Jimmy. He's the future president, and it's only 6 days away. I don't want to get into, quote, "I don't want to get into all the violent and irresponsible and stupid things our alleged future president and his gaggle of scumbags chose to say during our darkest and most terrifying hour. The fact that they chose to attack our firefighters, who apparently aren't white enough to be out there risking their lives on our behalf. It's disgusting, but it's not surprising. Instead, I want to focus on thanking those men and women." I don't even know what the hell he's talking about, Crane. I looked. So I want, like, after I saw that, I looked and I'm like, what is he talking about? And you can find, like Trump response to fire, the LA fires, Trump. And you can find some very liberal leaning, biased reporting that trash Donald Trump. But even in all those stories, I can't find a quote where he made any reference to white firefighters or even took a shot at any firefighters. He's been, all of Trump's criticisms have been directed at Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and Joe Biden, the politicians that are running the show. What is Jimmy Kimmel? Once again, just an example of gaslighting and misdirection and lying. What is he talking about that Donald Trump's vile? I draw the line when he starts attacking firefighters. What is he talking about?
Well, and from a weird way, this is how deranged you've got to be if you're Jimmy Kimmel to read into this. If they're looking at the leadership and the policies and what they found to be the most important, they would say diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Adam Carolla goes off on this and talks about, rather than merit and getting people involved. I think that is more dangerous and more insulting. Those policies are more dangerous and more insulting to the people and the firefighters, whatever color they may be, to them, rather than pointing that out. Where was your focus as a leader? Where was it? Was it on actually protecting the people of California? And this is common. Anytime you talk about, for example, if you criticize the public school system by embracing scholarships or school choice, somehow you hate the teachers,
right?
And it's infantile,
right?
Juvenile,
sure.
Infantile in every way. You got to go, well, you must really think I'm stupid because I'm talking about a system, and now you're saying I don't like Mrs. whatever her name is in second grade, and they're not doing a good job. And you're like sitting there going, no. Once again, you're at the meeting. You're like, no, that's not what we're talking about. I'm sorry. Please get some protein, perhaps a cookie, and sit over in the corner and catch your breath, because we're actually solving the problems and dealing with it. He comes out with a false accusation, once again, injecting race into this and charges of racism
in the most bizarre way.
Yeah.
Like,
usually
you would think, like, if you're going to try to just pull out of thin air some racist argument against the other side, you would say, like, he's only sending, Donald Trump only wants to send firefighters of color because they're the ones risking their lives. This is even more bizarre when he said that apparently the firefighters aren't white enough for Donald Trump and his people. Like, I don't even understand the accusation. I don't even understand the insult, let alone find any credence or credibility to anything he's saying.
Way to take a crisis, make it about something that you misunderstand to advance the political agenda. He is awful. His behavior is awful. And Stephen Colbert right there with him. These people make me sick to my stomach. It's been a long fall from David Letterman and And even David Letterman got on my nerves, but Johnny Carson and Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Long fall.
Yeah, long fall. And you know what? You are so good at your job that you don't even know that you just set us up to continue the conversation with Susie Moore, because one of the things that I want to get into that I want to get into with her is more reporting coming into this new year that shows some of the longest lasting media tent poles in this country, just how many people have lost confidence in some of the oldest, longest running media institutions in this country. And it's all self-inflicted. It is all self-inflicted damage. And so we're going to continue that conversation with Susie Moore in just a moment. Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Really appreciate your time as always, my friend.
Thank
Great
you.
stuff
Love
today.
you. Take care, buddy.
Back at you, dude. We'll talk to Crane Durham again very, very soon. And we will have that conversation and more with Susie Moore from Red State next here on Colombo and Company.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Question: do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930, 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com, WellingtonSTL.com, Wellington Environmental, your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. On Capitol Hill, in his opening statement, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth expressed a moment of personal testimony.
I have prided myself as a leader of respecting people, being professional. That is the balance of mine. I'm not a perfect person, as has been acknowledged. Saved by the grace of God, by Jesus and Jenny. I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real.
The lengthy Senate confirmation hearing today was the first in a number, running through to Inauguration Day tomorrow. Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi on the Hill. Also at townhall.com, at a news conference, Los Angeles County Fire Chief Anthony Marone says high winds through Wednesday could fuel wildfires.
Please be assured that the Los Angeles County region is prepared. The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in the LA region critical.
About 150,000 people in Los Angeles County remain under evacuation. A high-ranking member of an MS-13 gang clique in New York, Jero Saenz, has pleaded guilty to racketeering and other federal charges in a case involving 7 slayings, including the 2016 killings of 2 high school girls. The homicides focused the nation's attention on MS-13 gang violence. President Donald Trump, then in his first term in office, called for the death penalty for Syrians and others arrested in those killings, and blamed the violence and gang growth on lax immigration policies. On Wall Street, stocks have now finished mixed. The Dow had 220 points, but the NASDAQ lost 43. More at townhall.com.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Bitterly cold tonight, a low down to 6 degrees. Good news, if there is any, we'll have light winds, so it's not a significant wind chill. But boy, a really frigid start. A nice rebound in temperatures, 30 for the high. That's still a cold day, but that's a decent jump from a low of 6. Mostly sunny skies for our Wednesday. Thursday, partly cloudy and a warmer day, a high of 42 as we get into some melting. Yet again, that melting will really supercharge on Friday with a high of 49 and a chance of rain by Friday night. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Fox News commentary.
Celebrities are known to be pretty tone deaf, but the ones asking for personal donations really take the cake. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
A home is devastating regardless of personal wealth or even ability to rebuild, and I wouldn't wish that loss on anyone. But to see certain celebrities asking for financial opportunities or even donations for themselves or close family members, well, that's pretty bold and distasteful. But that's the case for former MTV reality star Spencer Pratt, who is no joke, asking fans to support him and his wife Heidi getting a Hulu show, and also begging people to stream her song on iTunes to generate extra revenue for themselves. They're hoping fans can help them alleviate some financial strain. Perhaps even worse is Mandy Moore, who shared a link for folks to donate in support of her in-laws who lost their homes in the Eaton fire. Both Pratt and Moore are defending their behavior by insisting that they have every right to ask for support, but let's just say that's landing like a lead balloon. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Money, get away. Get a good job with more pay and you're okay. Money, it's a gas. Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Emily and I are working out our health and wellness podcast off the air there.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Tony Colombo's takes on
We've got an
tanning.
opinion.
Yeah, the person who's never seen the inside of a tanning bed in my entire life. I've got very strong opinions.
Just ask, we'll tell
Yeah,
you.
right. Yeah, as I'm ripping people for making uneducated opinions known on television.
Show's taking a new direction.
Yeah,
actually.
at least that wasn't on the air yet. Could be a podcast
Yeah.
coming soon.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, right. Let us know. You want to hear me and Emily talk about tanning and other things? Welcome back. This is Colombo Company. I'm Tony. That is producer Emily. And as I mentioned, joining us to bring some credibility back to this program in a big, fast, quick way is our friend Susie Moore from Red State. Susie, how are you this afternoon? Oh, no. We don't have Susie.
She's on the phone. She's not on Opal. Hello, Susie.
Susie, let's try this again. Can you hear me? All right.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Save me, Susie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling pressure because I'm supposed to lend credibility to.
I do this to you all the time too. It's always Tuesdays that I just go off the rails, and then I need somebody with some credibility and some seriousness to save the day.
I appreciate your confidence in me.
Well, I don't know if you were listening to that conversation with Crane Durham, but actually, I mean, the guests are doing all the work today because Crane, perfect segue at the end of our conversation. He was talking about the long fall that we have seen the media and many within the media and media institutions, the fall in credibility, the fall in relevance that we have seen, particularly over the last few years. And that is exactly what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit, being with Red State and, being, part of this national media platform. I thought this story was amazing, and I was going to say not surprising, but how big of a deal this is, these numbers are a little surprising. Internal data just released reveals that the Washington Post's daily digital reader base shrunk by nearly 90% over the last 4 years during the Biden administration. 90%. According to the internal data shared with digital news site Semaphore, which I am not familiar with, full disclosure, the Washington Post has lost most of its daily digital traffic during President Biden's time in office. Through the outlet's website, though the outlet's website reached its peak daily online readership towards the beginning of the Biden administration. So in the last 4 years, the Washington Post's digital platform has seen its highest number and now its lowest number. Its peak at the beginning of the Biden administration was nearly 22.5 million daily active users. Now that number is around 2.9 million daily active users. So from 22.5 to 2.9, approximately an 87% drop in online readership. Washington Post, of course, not only one of the longest running media institutions, but also one of the most liberal. And so I think that this is twofold. This conversation, Susie, is, are these old traditional institutions losing their credibility in general? And then also when you are so attached to one side, to one party, how much additionally does that play into things? What do you think about this report and these numbers about the Washington Post?
Yeah, I think without a deeper dive into the specific reasons that people are no longer using the Washington Post online as one of their main sources of information, without that deeper dive, it's hard to say for sure. I think you can lay some of it, a good deal of it, at the feet of the credibility issue, the one-sidedness. But I think a lot of it has to do just generally with sort of how we as a culture are evolving in terms of how we consume our news. It's a generational thing. It's a platform thing. But the people that are traditionally the ones who are going to consume the New York Times and Washington Post and Wall Street Journal are getting a little long in the tooth. And the people that are consuming more and more of the media are the people like, younger millennials, Gen Z, even Gen A, who are, they're getting their news from
That's the
places
first.
like
That's the
TikTok
first time
and
I've heard
Twitter.
Gen A used in a conversation on the show. So
Generation Alpha.
that's the
They're a
that's the
thing.
next one.
Yep.
I didn't realize that we already knew the one beside after Gen Z. Yeah, but and which is why I think it's important to point out that these numbers are the digital readership, the digital platform, not the people reading the printed newspaper, which that is probably in the single digits at this point,
Right.
as far as people that are there. But they are the Washington Post, like so many, particularly when it comes to print media. But we here in radio, News Talk STL, there's a reason that we are on that every show, like we were talking about in the last segment with our cameras. We are live on multiple social media platforms every day. Traditional radio is still very strong and healthy, a lot stronger and healthier than, you would be led to believe by, when you see stories like this about dying newspapers. Traditional radio broadcasting still very strong, but we all know that there's a digital future that we're all moving towards, and that's why we're already there. We're already on social media every day. We're already on all the podcast platforms every day, because that's where you need to be. And I'm sure that's what the Washington Post is thinking, over these last several years, saying, look, we can't rely on selling newspapers anymore. We got to make this all digital. We got to put this on the internet, make, our content available to the younger generations. And it's still failing spectacularly. So, I mean, that really says something. I don't know. Susie, you make a good point. I wonder, and we wouldn't know, and without a deeper dive into, research, hearing from why past readers have left. But I think personally, that there is a bit of a negative connected to some of the older, more traditional media outlets that are looked at, negatively as just, being the old, staunchy, boring, way of doing things. So I think that has something to do with it. But my gut tells me it's even more connected to the fact that they're so biased in their reporting, and people are just rejecting that. There will always be some people that just want that confirmation bias, but I think that number is shrinking drastically. That's my personal gut take on this. What's yours?
I think that's a big part of it. I do. But I also think, I am Gen X. I am somebody who came of age, if not specifically remembering Watergate or much of it, like learning the lore of all the president's men and Woodward Bernstein and Walter Cronkite and all that traditional media, 60 Minutes. Those were all things that were staples throughout my, growing into adulthood and just the traditional news sources. I was raised on legacy media. But the people that are, at the tail end of millennials and beyond, they weren't raised on legacy media. They don't have that loyalty. They don't have that affinity. So part of it's distrust because of the one-sidedness. But Red State is one-sided in the sense that we're a conservative outlet. We make no bones about it. We don't make, it's not
yeah, and
mystery,
that's the important thing.
But,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
I think, too, it's just, the younger generations don't think of legacy media as having much meaning. What legacy? It doesn't have that allure for them that it did for us. So I think it's a combination of things, but the bottom line is the landscape has changed tremendously, and we're seeing the effects of that.
I think you hit on something tremendously important there. There are still many people, and typically it is from these more legacy traditional places, because I guess they're just so used to not being challenged or, being looked at as the smart people in the room. I briefly worked for a local radio station who suffers from this tremendously. And it was my cue to get out of corporate radio a few years ago, that we're just untouchable because we're the oldest and we're the smartest and we're the best. And that just wears people out, I think, more than ever. But on top of that, it's, every day here on this show, my goal is to inform people on what's happening in the world, what's happening in the news, nationally, internationally, locally. I want people to know what's happening. I want people to understand what's happening, but I also do not hide that along with that, you're going to get my opinion. And this is not reporting. This is informing with an opinion attached to it. Places like the Washington Post for so long, they want to tell you that they are the unbiased media, the blind justice, the blind scales of justice, and reporting, and it's just not what they are. And so people are seeing through that lie, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. Not just that they are so biased or one-sided in their content, it's that they act like they're not. And if you would just admit to it, I think that would lessen the damage that you're doing to yourself.
I think so, but I also think that the legacy media has been woefully exposed in the past few years. The Twitter files, which didn't make nearly as big a splash as it should have, but it made enough of a splash that it really kind of revealed the fact that a lot of the legacy media is basically captive to the government. They're basically propagandists, and that's their primary role, and that's all been exposed. So people can decide, okay, do I just want to go see what the government, the conventional wisdom spin is on this, or do I want to go find other alternate sources that are going to maybe look at it a little different? I mean, you've just seen the growth of platforms like Substack, things like that really give people those options.
Yeah, absolutely. One last point on this, because I do find this story to be absolutely fascinating. The Wall Street Journal released a report about the Washington Post last week and how much damage this drop-off in readers has done to the paper's bottom line. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post has lost around $100 million in subscription and ad revenue in 2024 alone. That is crazy. And another point that I think is super interesting, in addition to the massive decline in traffic over the years, the outlet lost 250,000 paid subscribers in one fell swoop after Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos directed the outlet to not endorse. Remember, we all covered this story along. Washington Post wasn't the only one to not endorse a 2024 presidential candidate. That one moment in time alone saw around 250,000 paid subscribers cancel their subscription to the Washington Post. And also several of their prominent staffers resigned from the paper following that decision by Jeff Bezos, which shows you that not only are what we've kind of been talking about to this point, the younger generation and conservative or middle of the road voters out there, none of those people are even looking at a story from the Washington, if it's from the Washington Post anymore. But the most progressive liberals out there, readers and staff, are also mad and turning their back on the Washington Post because they only want that one-sided partisan stories, and they don't want it, and they're not going to tolerate the appearance of unbiased reporting. So they've angered the progressives, especially the more extreme the progressive, the more they feel alienated, and they've lost everybody that is on the right or even right of center. I mean, just what a perfect storm of disaster for the Washington Post. I just find that to be fascinating.
Yeah, it's a double whammy. They're getting it for both sides. You're alienating the people that want you to be more non-biased, and you're alienating people that want you to be more biased.
Yeah.
And so what are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? Well, it'd be interesting to see. We talk, especially on Mondays, when we talk to Mike McCleary from Intervine. He's our AI expert. We talk about how 2025 is going to be a year of a lot of new technology influencing just everyday lives of Americans. And I think that, the consumption of news and information in media is going to also be going through some major changes or major evolutions in this year and beyond. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on all of it. Another thing to keep an eye on, of course, will be Inauguration Day, which is 6 days from now. Got just a couple minutes left here with Susie Moore from Red State. We will be covering the inauguration live on Monday. That's this Monday, the 20th, starting at 11 a.m. We're going to go to full live coverage from D.C. Also, our very own Tim Jones will be there in D.C., so he will be reporting live there that afternoon as well, which is awesome. We will be all over Inauguration Day. Susie, what do you expect, if anything, between now and then? Are we done with, has Joe Biden made his last ridiculous act as president? Do you expect one more? And do you have any gut feeling about, any other political movements or stories that could creep their way into the news cycle over the next 6 days as we all get ready for the inauguration?
I would say no, he's not done, because just before we started talking, he announced that they were lifting Cuba from the terrorist not terror watch list, but
yeah,
they're redoing our stance towards Cuba.
Cuba's no longer terrorists. Yeah, they're
correct.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
that's just, fascinating. Yeah.
Something that Joe Biden clearly feels so passionately about, that he waited until the very last days of his administration to do it. So the posture that, towards Cuba, that was a big announcement this afternoon. I suspect we're going to have several more. I suspect there'll be some pardons. I think he or the people that are signing things in his name are making the most of these last days of his administration to confound the incoming Trump administration and, just to leave their mark, if you will, because why not, I guess. It's like, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
At worst, it's going to get reversed. So, no, I don't think we've seen the last of it. I think we're going to see quite a few of these little bombshells dropped as on his way out of office.
I've joked about this in recent days. You and I may have even talked about this. Paul Kurtman was on with us yesterday. He brought it up completely outside of hearing me talk about this. Joe Biden has been busier. He's done more. He's taken more action, and like real action, like action that has consequence, action that has impact. Like actual leadership, actual governing, whether you agree with it or not, which I certainly don't agree with any of it, but he's done more in the last month than he did all 4 years. If I was a Democrat, I'd be even more mad at him now, going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You could have been doing all this stuff. You could have been banning drilling. You could have been, going after tobacco, like with the cigarette ban thing that he's trying to do. Addressing international situations, like whatever he did with Cuba today. I mean, like, I would be totally PO'd off, like Katie used to say, that where's this been, Joe?
Right.
You could have been working this hard for 4 years. I wonder if we'd be in a different position. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if I were a Democrat who was still totally sold on the Biden administration, I'd be furious right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess it's human nature to procrastinate and put things off till the end. And then when the clock is ticking, I guess just try to make the most of it. But it is kind of fascinating to see. And boy, I mean, the next 6 days they're going to be something to watch.
What's you mentioned, and I 100% agree. I understand that some of the motivation to do this is why not? Who cares? It's not like he can't pay any price for it. He doesn't have to fight the battle. He can just make the decisions. He doesn't have to uphold them or fight for them to stay or whatever they are. So I understand why it's easier for him to do those things, but I don't really understand fully the motivation to do so. Like the pardons I get, like I understand the pardons, but I'm talking about like, Cuba and drilling and, and tobacco and all, these type of things that he has, and the death row stuff, what's, that's part of the pardoning, but, like the political statement specifically about, as I've said for years, I don't think that there should be a federal death row. Well, I've never, ever heard you even address it, Mr. President. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know. Is he trying to salvage his image for the history books? Is he trying to leave on a hero's note to progressives? I don't understand the motivation to be so active in these final days. Do you?
I do. I think part of it is legacy. Try to make the most of it. Obviously, his approval rating is very low, and so I think he's trying to lay some markers down that he can point to as his legacy. And I think part of it is, he if he's going to have a Joe Biden library, a presidential library, that's got to be paid for by donors.
Yeah.
And
it's got to have something in it. It's got to have some stories in it.
But he's got like nothing in the coffers. Like the donors aren't willing to cough up money to support a Joe Biden presidential library.
That's a great
so
point.
some of this is probably political favors trying to get some donor money put together so that he can have something that he can point to or his heirs can point to as his library.
Will that library be in Scranton or will it be in Delaware?
Joe.
Will it be in Pennsylvania or will it be in Delaware?
My guess would be that it would be someplace associated with the University of Pennsylvania.
If he's around long enough, and I hope, I pray that he is. I pray that he lives for a long time. But if he's around long enough to talk about his own presidential library, he will probably tour the country saying that it's in both places, probably multiple places, just like he was raised in multiple places by multiple communities. His presidential library will probably be in Scranton. It'll be somewhere in Delaware. It'll be in DC. It'll be in Puerto Rico. It'll be
a branch there. Yeah, right.
It'll be in Puerto Rico. It'll be right next to a Jewish temple. It'll be
and there'll be a satellite office in Ireland.
Yes, exactly. It'll be everywhere that he has claimed to be. I hope that I hope to one day see that press conference. All right, Susie, thank you so much, as always, for your time. Susie Moore from Red State joins us every Tuesday afternoon here on Colombo and Company. And, of course, you can read her articles and all the great stories from her colleagues there at Red State, redstate.com. Susie, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Tony. Take care.
All right, we are going to continue on here. A little more preparation for Inauguration Day, which is only 6 days from now. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We're going to be there live throughout the day, so nobody's going to have better coverage of Inauguration Day than us here at News Talk STL. And we'll continue that conversation next here on Colombo and Company.
That far, you're going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters is a great place to visit in 2025 if you need help with great products and services for your home, for animal care, for lawn and garden care. They do it all at the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store. They are there in St. Peters on 2nd Street, Old Town St. Peters, which is right behind the QT at 70 in Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. If you have ever seen the big 2-story grain elevator from the road or even from the interstate, that's them. That's the Old Town Country Store. And they have a huge selection of products and services
for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, anything from the family dog or cat to farm livestock. They have smaller services like they'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. So get out there and visit them again on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive in St. Peters. You can also learn more by checking out their website, oldtowncountrystore.com.
At Elite Comfort Experts, they don't believe in gimmicks, just guarantees. And now they're teaming up with Amana Heating and Air Conditioning to bring you a 99-year compressor and heat exchange warranty and a 10-year parts and labor warranty on a high new efficiency HVAC system. This exclusive offer is available on qualifying systems installed before April 15th. Choose integrity and quality. Choose Elite Comfort Experts. Call Elite at 636-887-0971 or visit EliteComfortExperts.com. Mention the promo code NewsTalkSTL.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In 1776, one of our nation's founding fathers, Thomas Paine, wrote a pamphlet stating, "These are the times that try men's souls." Well, for Governor Newsom, LA Mayor Bass, all California politicians, the LA wildfires are trying their political futures. And I do not want you to forget the dead and missing. Governor Newsom claiming all the reservoirs were full with water when they weren't. LA Mayor Bass out of the country, knowing there was a possibility of wildfires. And when they started, took her sweet time returning. The fires are putting heat on the entire California DEI and clean air dream. The head of the water supply admits she took the job to make sure that department would have more DEI. And I'm sure the $750,000 annual paycheck had something to do with it. Before the fires, LA had sent fire trucks and equipment to help Ukraine. Now, ironically, Ukraine is offering to send firefighters to LA. We began with a quote from Thomas Paine. So let us close with his most popular writing. In fact, this one should serve as a guiding star for LA moving forward, titled Common Sense.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
There's no pizza like Napoli Brothers Pasta and Pizza in the district Chesterfield Valley. That's because in Napoli, your pizza is in a coal-fired oven. One taste, you're going to want more. Grab a gift card. Good for all Napoli locations. And a few doors down, enjoy the atmosphere of Lit Cigar Lounge. High-end cigars, single barrel whiskey. Before you leave, pick up gift cards for family and friends at Lit Cigar Lounge.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The latest on the LA wildfires and the latest on Donald Trump trying to get his cabinet appointees fully confirmed.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Well, welcome back to Colombo Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Thanks again to Susan Moore from Red State for joining us in that last segment. Before that, we talked to Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. And mentioned it a couple times a day, but great time to remind you after those great conversations that if you missed any of those discussions and just want to make sure that you don't miss them or any other of the great conversations that we have here on the show, make sure you are subscribed to the Colombo and Company podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day. And I mean, right after we get off the air every day. Emily is incredibly fast at
Already
posting this
on
show.
it.
It's awesome. So if you just want to make sure that you never miss anything, make sure you are subscribed to the Colombo and Company podcast. We put the show on basically every podcast platform there is, certainly all the big ones, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, all those places, and so many more. So wherever your favorite place to get podcasts is, make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Company. Also, talking there with Susie Moore about Inauguration Day finally being right around the corner. It is this coming Monday, January 20th. And we are going to be covering Inauguration Day better than anyone, as is our goal every time there is a major news day like Inauguration Day. We will be all over it here at News Talk STL. We will be going live to DC with full Inauguration Day coverage starting at 11 a.m. on Monday. Of course, before that, with Mike Ferguson in the morning and the Vic Porcelli Show, previewing everything you need to know leading up to the inauguration of Donald Trump and that broadcast. And then that afternoon, Tim Jones, our very own Tim Jones, will be live in DC on Inauguration Day. So he will be bringing us live updates throughout the afternoon there from DC as well. It's all brought to you by Freddie's Market, Hometown Floors, Romantique Jewelers, Monocle's Pizza, and O'Fallon, Greater Augusta Chamber of Commerce, and the Abduction Dispensary in Union and Pacific. Thank you to our great sponsors for helping make this great coverage happen. Inauguration Day is this coming Monday, and we have got you covered here at News Talk STL. Emily, I wanted to bring you into this conversation really quick. I want to go back to the wildfires in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that it hasn't been talked about a whole lot because there's a lot of other important things when it comes to these fires. But I just happened to be in the right place at the right time yesterday, watching some of the live reporting coming from LA, and like from people on the ground there. And I was watching, like, whatever it is, Fox 11 in LA or whatever, watching their local reporting, and they were talking to people. And I don't know, this just seemed, I guess, very California. So they were talking to people on the ground. These people are on the ground in the community. You'd think that they, obviously they're going through a lot and they have a lot to focus on. And they're talking to this group of women at one point who are talking about how, they were highlighting how so many people from across the country have come together to provide food and water and services and blankets and all the things that people need to live.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking to this group of 3 women who were wearing masks, not because of the smoke in the air, not anybody, but I think because COVID. That's exactly what it looked like. And they were there to provide mental health. They were like, well, we don't have anything to give anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but we are here to provide mental health checkups or to help with your mental health. And the reporter's like, oh,
That's great. Are you certified?
Are you with any kind of group? And literally the woman said, no, I just live here. And I just will, if you want to talk to somebody, I'll be here until 3:00 this afternoon. And like, she had her 2 friends with her. She's like, no, I just live here. And mental health is really important right now. And I don't want to give anybody food, or I don't want to give any money, but I'll talk to you about mental health, even though I have
the right place.
Even though I have no certification to do so.
Heart's in the right place.
Is it, or is it?
I mean, maybe she's like, I can't.
Or is it a little bit of a like grandstanding,
somehow.
like, oh, I have a chance to get in front of a TV camera? And,
yeah, that'd be sad. I would give people the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, well, maybe she doesn't have anything really to give, but then she wants to do something. So like moral support, I guess.
She said, there's a lot of negative stigma attached to mental health in the United States. So we're here to talk about it. Like,
I don't know if that's the time to talk.
We're here to talk about the fires that are ravaging your community.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to talk about this.
I just thought that was amazing. And then they go to the next person. And again, this feels all very California. They go to another person who is saying that is there like supplying what they called like help for new parents for babies. And they said, yeah, we're here. We have diapers, we have wipes, we have formula. And then she goes into, We also have birth control items, condoms, pregnancy tests. Like, what? You had me at helping people with diapers, wipes, and blankets and formula and that sort of stuff.
Maybe she keeps it all in the same
But she
bin.
talked way more about pregnancy tests than she did diapers.
That's crazy.
What? Like, it just all seems so out of place. And these were the people, like, literally on the ground. Just amazing.
It's California, I guess.
I guess. All right, that is going to do it for Emily and I this afternoon. But Colombo and Company, Emily and I, back tomorrow at 2. And in the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Thank you, as always, so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Ribbons in your hair. I don't mind you coming here.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Larry Connors here, and I'm heading to southern Italy for a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. I want you to join me. We'll travel for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours. They're the best tour operators in Italy. Conservative Tours, an